All right, good evening, guys. Ken of Tortoise Capital, nightly strategy podcast for March 21st, 2024. And we'll start with the hybrid swing workshop, hybrid swing portfolio, I should say. This is 30-minute charts. And we'll start with Alcoa. This is all 30-minute. So after yesterday's nice run up for the Fed, today it rolled over, became an owl right here. We got short on the RLXD and breaking of the PSAR when that rolled over. Standard risk. It bottomed out here. Take the exit at the skin of the dragon for 1R. It's still favorable bias because we have the R10 is reversed up. The Bollinger Band mean is higher. The owl had turned here. The only concern is it's got to go above the VWAP and get moving. Otherwise, the RL30 has rolled over and the PSAR is flipped. So that's really a critical state for tomorrow. If it's going to work, it should go right away. If it starts failing, I can do a COTA 2 and get the short side. So that makes this prime time for compound critical state. And that's EWW. Thanks, Eugene. I don't know why I was there, but we're going to be on that one anyway because it's a frog champion. Sorry, this is EWW, Mexico. Just checking to see if you're awake. You passed my test. It's the same trade for Alcoa. Yesterday's trade, it rolls over, the owl rolling over. We get short after a peak here, and it breaks through the VWAP, and we collect 1R. I would say the same summary. We have the R10 is rolled over. The Bollinger Band mean is strong. We're well above the 5 and 10-day anchored VWAP. And after this little sell-off, it was pretty stable all day. So if it was going to fail, it should have failed here. It didn't. So that means for me, if it breaks above the VWAP, I'm ready to get long with a COTA 2. And then if it breaks above, say, 32, then it should be really good. So that's going to be prime time for tomorrow. AI, we covered yesterday's SSC when it peaked and then came back and crossed the VWAP. It came all the way back to the 270 anchored VWAP. There's the 10 and there's the 5. So that was a nice way to collect 1R. And then it got weak the whole rest of the day. So I'm ready to get short immediately tomorrow. I think it has to get above 29 for me to be interested on the long side. Why is that, Ken? Good question. Well, it has to get above this VWAP and the peak of the dragon. And above this this 270 anchored VWAP. So this is all neutral zone right here. If it gets above here, then I can believe in it. And then my first target would be here, then here, and then probably back here, 3150. So it has to get some traction and get going. But if it fails out of here, like below 2837, I'm instantly short. And then if it breaks below the 10-day low, I'll put a second position on. So with that downward trend, this is easier to believe in. So it doesn't take as much evidence for me to get back on board on the short side. Caterpillar, love it. This was yesterday's emerging dragon in COTA 2. It closed well. Today it took off. I should have gotten a second position on it here, but it closed very well. And to be honest, this is one that could be easily converted to a long-term swing because we're already holding 6, 7, 8R. We're so deep in the money on that one that we have a nice cushion, and I could expect to trade this one for the long run. So this is where I might go out to the daily chart. Love it. Things at an all-time. Look at if you're not in Caterpillar, I mean, what? What? What do you need? I should have put an extra 2 positions on that today. Stupid. That's the industrials. And Caterpillar is the poster child for that one. Cliff Natural Resources, it's also good, not quite as good as Caterpillar, but then it's a smaller company. And it's more tied to the commodity prices than Caterpillar, which has service contracts. But everything about this one's good. I mean, you got the Bollinger Band mean is up. This trend line is up. You're well above all the anchored VWAPs, closed higher than the open. And this was the 30-day high. This thing is good to go. So we cashed half an hour though, just because. No trade in CVS. TIA. So we got 2 positions on this one from a couple days ago, and then yesterday, and then today it just kept going. I should have gotten another position on it. But much like XLI, DIA has been outperforming SPY. This thing is just going, and we like it. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8R on this one, 5R on that one. So that's plus 13. And there was no sign of weakness. So at the first sign of strength, like if it takes out this 30-day high, I'm ready to go even more so. So that's my second priority. My highest priority is XLI, and that's because we got an extra position on that one. I want to jump straight to XLI just so you can see. So these were the 4 that we put on yesterday. And we held the position here. And it gapped up to here. So that decision gained us an extra 4R because it gapped up a full R on 4 positions. So I added a position and then it stabilized and held right here. So this is the question to you. You've got 5 positions on that thing. You're holding about 20R. What do you do here? How do you decide what to do? Should you add, hold, sell some, sell all? 1, 2, 3, 4. What's your choice? That's a good problem to have. So you really have to have what other information? What you should really be making notes on is what are the things that I would check? What's my list of planning considerations in order to decide what to do with that? What if this represented 70% of my trading portfolio all in one symbol? Well, then maybe that's too much. What if it's 1% of my portfolio? You know, And what percentage of my overall portfolio is my trading portfolio? So that looks like this. If that's my total portfolio and I'm trading with this much, and this one represents a small sliver of a small section, then how much risk I take on that sliver is different than if my trading portfolio was all of this, and then this thing was half of that portfolio all tied up in one position. That would be too much risk. So you should use this as an opportunity to start thinking about what are the considerations that I will routinely go through to decide what to do with abnormally large gains. I mean, it would be one thing if it was 20R and only one position, because then I don't have a multiple of 5 for the adverse gap. So there's a good argument to sell at least 2 or 3 of the 5 positions, in my opinion. On the other hand, it's at an all-time high. It's the strongest sector in the strongest index in the strongest country, which just made a new all-time high today. And it's the industrials. It's not like those are the realm of speculative maniacs. So maybe this is an add a position. Those are the kinds of things that you should be putting into your list so that you are making a disciplined set of decisions on how to handle abnormal gains for the overnight session. Like I might simply decide, let me set 1R equal to the worst gap in the last year, and then use that as 1R, and then divide that into position sizing in order that if I experienced the worst gap in the last year, I would take a 1R loss. And so divide that by $400 or whatever your unit of risk is. And then adjust your position so that that equation is true. That's an example lesson from the foundations course. Okay, so that let's go to Disney. Standard entry on a continuation, didn't really follow through, got a fraction. Devon Energy, 1, 2, 3 after the sell-off. I missed that whole sell. Half an hour. Emerging markets, I missed the short. The logical entry would have been when it broke below the VWAP or when this rolled over, and that would have paid off, but I missed it. Ethereum, I tried the 1, 2, 3 continuation and took an R loss. Mexico, we already looked at. Brazil, tried the short in here, but basically scratched all day. Intel, 2R on the short after it rolled over and broke through the 270 VWAP and left the dragon. IP, no trade. That's part of the industrial sector. I just missed that. I should have bought it given the previous joy that it had, but there'll be room on that for tomorrow. IYR, real estate, got short on the 1, 2, 3 and the rolling over of the RL10 and captured an R after the rebound. Here's a case where it got to an extreme, came all the way back to the Bollinger Band mean. That's the reversion to the mean trade. That's what this entry is framing. It got it, and then I took the exit at the edge of the dragon. Coke, no trade. Regional banks tried the gap and go, and then it just kind of depleted, so it took half a minute. McDonald's, no trade, I missed the short. Merck, no trade, missed the short. I'm sorry, Merck got had a scratch after the continuation. Microsoft, this was yesterday's entry. It stabilized all day. I'm liking that. That's the first sign of strength in tech. We're holding about 3R for the overnight on one position. That feels comfortable. Marijuana, I got the crossing of the dragon and the PSAR flip here at standard risk, and then it took off, and that's holding about 6R. I didn't want to add a second position. We'll see if that follows through. That's in good shape to follow through tomorrow because it left behind the the 10-day, 5-day, and 30-day VWAPs, and all of that's going well. So that's new buying pressure, and this could be back on its way to 11. So we like that one. Nike, 2R on the gap and go. NVIDIA, finally some strength in the tech. This is a emerging dragon and 1R in the usual way. Clean energy. We got the continuation trade for half an R, and then it stalled. Palantir, this was yesterday's Kata 2, and it gapped all the way up and then started selling off, cashed for 2R. Rivian, no trade, SOUN, got short on a collapsing dragon for an R. Tesla covered yesterday's entry for a fraction. Walmart, fractional gain on the gap and go. US Steel, no trade. And then XLI, this is that fifth position, and I'm just holding 5. I didn't add because this was already such a large exposure. All right, here's a sniper trade of the day in XLI. So this is in addition to the swing trade. This is me now working on 3 minutes from a different bucket of money that allows me to get smaller risk box and therefore a larger position size and more rapid decision making. So in XLI, this is where it closed yesterday. Here's the gap up, the OR3. Now, it turns out that this dark orange box is the R10. That's like 13 cents. But to me, when I get this entry, the price that invalidates that is if it makes a new low. So I actually have to use 2 of those. So that's like an R5, which is 2 times the R10. So that's a 25-cent stop instead of a 13-cent stop. So we're long from here. Second position at 2R, exiting at the PSAR flip. And so this position gets 1, 2, 3, 4. Then this one, which is a 2R battle drill entry, gets +2. So this is a total of 6 on XLI. Now you'll recall that I also added 1 swing position. And because I'm cashing this here, the money from that can pay for the swing position that I'm holding and still put 2 in the bank. So there's some risk reduction there. This is an opportunity trade in EWW. And this is where the continuous framing throughout the day comes from. So, I was managing XLI, then after I exited that one, looking around, and then this is what I see in EWW. I'm noticing this descending highs on the peaks of the RL10 and the RL30. And I'm noticing that this is a stable support level here. That makes this a collapsing dragon. And then the price that invalidates that is if it were to go back above this VWAP. So this is the intraday VWAP that I'm coloring in strong. That's the VWAP. And that's also the PSAR flip. So if this thing reversed against me, as soon as it would have to break that price level to persuade me that this downward move is not working. I'd have to see it break up and above. And then if it did that, how far high could it go? Well, it could get back to the peak of the dragon or the peak of the RL10. And that tells me I could actually stop and reverse here because I have 2 units of reward against the standard unit of risk. And then yesterday's VWAP is down around here. So I know from this 1 unit of reward that I got about 1, 2, 3 units of reward against my 1 unit of risk. So this is an example of an intraday compound critical state. Check or hold. I like the compression that price is being squeezed. And I like the fact that this support level was holding until it broke. So that tells me there's something new. That means this thing could fail. It had how many chances to do well? 1, 2, 3, 4. It had 4 chances to break north of this blue line, and it couldn't. That is acting like resistance, and they're running out of juice. Like they're quitting sooner. And all of that is geared towards the VWAP. And now it's failing to test this resistance or that support. And the buying pressure is diminishing. That increases the probability for that move. And after it gets to about 2 o'clock, the R30 rolls up as well. This is an owl, and this is an owl exit. Because when the RL30 turns, yeah, then it's probably done. So that's like leg 1, pause, leg 2. Hey, Ken, what if you got out here? If you get out there, you get back in right there when it breaks the collapsing dragon again, and it doesn't change your score that much. In fact, what I could have done was put a second position on there. I didn't. So that's an example of a sniper trade intraday based on a range compression collapsing dragon. Check or hold. All right, this is Kevin grinding his way through some EWW on 3-minute charts. This is like a Kata 2 challenge. It does a nice job netting 2. There were a lot of reversals. That's going to happen. one of the things that the trade-off is if you use a wider stop, you stay longer, but then you get fewer trades. And I wouldn't argue with success. I think, however, there's somewhere like this is premature and you didn't get the re-entry until here. So that's one where I think your risk aversion is defeating you. Take a look at the guidance of your 30 period regression line. Like that doesn't change its posture until here. This thing started showing weakness when that rolls over. So that means, yeah, as long as you get that re-entry right away, you're okay. And that's the same trade I just showed you before. But I think this one is a little premature. And then what it cost you was this, that was the loss. That was the opportunity cost. Like this is a great short because now you've already got the R10 rolled over, the RL30 rolled over. It broke below the Bollinger Band mean. I think I would add the VWAP to your. So this is a great short because you got both of those already breaking. And then this is a nice job at capturing, the money management gain. That's really good. Nothing wrong with just grabbing an R in 12 minutes. And then I love this re-entry. And when it doesn't break lower than the previous one, that's a good shot. Those are both really well done. And then I like this one because you're so close. No, I guess you do have the VWAP on there. I'm sorry. I just saw it. And I like this one because you're testing that upside. And if that works, it's going to go all the way back to here. So that's a good shot. When it doesn't, that's a great exit. Then that would be a great entry short. But this is really good also. So that's good work, Kevin. Good self-assess. Keep studying the patterns. George documenting his process. I like that one. You didn't let it go. This is supposed to work right away. When it doesn't, hold off. I really want you to take a look at XLI. That is such a leader. I mean, here's why. The S&P is better than the world right now. And there's nothing else even close to it. And then you know what's better than the S&P? DIA. So when that conservative industrial kind of similar, and then what's the best sector in SPY? It's XLI. So that's where the strength is. Trade the strength on the upside. Disney, yeah, it's strong, but it's one company. There's a lot of companies contributing to the good news story of XLI. If you're trading Disney, you should also be looking at CAT. I think I said that the other day. CAT and IP. That's what you want. All right. The 150-day look back, new all-time high today. Up we go. Look how far behind it has left the 270 VWAP. Everything good on the 30-day look back. Bullish normal, strongly overbought. Risk Z just flipped over to risk on. Caterpillar, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. That's XLF for you. Finance. Good news breaking out all over. Caterpillar, Disney, Goldman, and Home Depot. Holy smokes. JP Morgan, Microsoft, and Nucor Steel, ExxonMobil. Those are the names that we should be seeing on your daily charts. The Dow 30, Japan, mid caps and marijuana. The S&P, materials and energy. Greatness everywhere. And then finally, this is that second day of goodness. It's made that RL30 begin to roll up, and the RL90 Z score maybe getting ready for another run. This thing just is the dragon that will not die. All right, let's get everything ready for tomorrow, Tactical Friday, and be ready to dominate. Take good care.